Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vance.
Treason? Oh, let me show you treason.
We've got Chris.
You like Guy Ritchie in this place? I thought you had a dress code.
And I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. Guy Ritchie is in both of these comics today, kind of. Is he in the other one? I don't know.
Yeah,
He doesn't actually
mention him by name.
They mention him though. He's coast to coast.
Yeah. Okay, hi everyone. Today we are reading. We're back to the world of Age of Apocalypse. We promised we would be coming back to the world. What did we read before? We read like Legion Quest and then X-Men Alpha, which was like the first.
X-Men, yeah.
Astonishing X-Men.
Yes, Astonishing X-Men.
That would have been episodes 169 and 172. This is episode 178.
Great. And yeah, we are just little by little going to go through and read all of the different miniseries that sprung out of the Age of Apocalypse. We're not doing them all in order or anything, or devoting a bunch of episodes in a row, but little by little, we'll get to it. And then we'll read the big finale, the X-Men Omega, at some point. What are we going to read with that? It's going to be kind of like,
I have it
we'll
scheduled.
Figure it out. Okay, cool.
I think, honestly, I just went in order of the way that these trade paperbacks were published.
That makes sense.
There's like 3 or 4 in one month and then 3 in the next month, because there are some editor's notes in here that like, check out these other book that's happening at the same time. I'm like, oh shit, should I have read number 1 of this other one before I read that? I think it's fine.
I was thinking about that a little bit, but yeah, we were totally fine getting through this. And then of course at the end we are going to be reading Avengers number 173, part of the Korvac Saga. I feel like we're really getting into the Korvac Saga finally. We'll get there. So yeah, that'll be part of our longer read, but let's stick to Factor X here for a bit. So what the world of Age of Apocalypse, what's going on? Xavier's dead. Magneto runs it. I feel like you don't even need it. I'm sorry, that's what I meant. Apocalypse runs it. Magneto, it has like his underground Splinter Cell mutants who are like
they're the good guys.
Splinter Cell's probably not right. Yeah, they're the good guys.
Yeah, but they're like cool good guys, Vince. They're not like your dad's X-Men who are lame.
No, they've been forced to grow up in a world full of being run by Apocalypse, because Xavier was removed from the timeline because he was killed by his son.
So yeah, like Sunfire is like on fire all the time, and like Iceman is like fully frozen all the time. Like nobody is like halfway anymore.
No, an angel runs a bar called Heaven. It all makes sense.
I mean,
the only thing that was holding him back was Professor X from his dreams.
Hey, you know what? It's the world. He lives a life of lavish luxury, and in a world without that, he had to create it. That's just how it went. But we learned a little bit about everybody in this book. It's hard to say exactly what all the books are going to like focus on and how does this compare to all the others until we've read them. But this one is definitely focused on Scott Summers, Cyclops, and his brother Alex Summers. Havok, right? Yeah. They never call him Havok in this book, do they?
I don't
think
know.
So.
I just saw the new Batman movie and they never call her Catwoman. So I don't honestly know. They haven't called her. There's been Catwoman and also Dark Knight Rises. They never call her Catwoman either. I don't know. So maybe nobody goes by their names. Do we need to talk about X Factor at all and what X Factor was around this time? Does that inform? I don't.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So X Factor was originally created kind of despite Chris Claremont's best wishes. Jim Shooter wanted to reunite the original X-Men, and so he was not happy with that, but they did it anyway.
This is like the original pre-Wolverine X-Men, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The
Pre-giant size.
Yeah, Beast, Angel, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Iceman. They reunited in X Factor. The idea was that they were mutant hunters. And then that was dropped pretty quickly. It was a Ghostbusters thing, and then it was 1984, so they had to rip off Ghostbusters. But then it became like just the series that they were on until the books kind of got unified in around like 1990, 1991, and then X Factor became the book of like all the sort of second string people written by Peter David. It was Havok was the leader. Polaris, Lorna Dane was kind of the second in command. They were always a couple in the X-Men
she's
books.
In this book. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That's what that's there for. And then Wolfsbane, and then who else was on that original?
She's a New Mutant, right? Have we covered her before?
Yes, Rain Sinclair. She's in the New Mutants movie, and she was she was in the New Mutants. And then Strong Guy, who I don't think we've read anything that he's in.
And he wasn't in this at all, was he?
No.
He's in the Detective X Factor from like the 2000s. I know him.
Yes, he is. Yeah, and he's on Gambit. he's on Gambit's team in this, Gambit and the Externals.
So we'll get to it.
He's not here. And then I feel like I'm missing a couple of other characters. But yeah, it was basically Quicksilver was there for a little while, but then he got recruited back to the Avengers. But it was a different book, and it was Peter David when he was also writing Hulk at the time. But he kind of used it as an opportunity to write different kinds of X-Men books that are very good. But yeah, it's he has like an issue where there's no big fight, where it's literally just everyone on the team, because they're government sanctioned, has to go see a psychiatrist, and so you kind of get all of their neuroses as a team and like what's going on with all of them. Multiple Man, that's the other one, of course, that I was forgetting. Yeah. Who's a major character on the investigations team. But yeah, so that was kind of what that team was, and then so this is sort of carrying over. Alex he's one of the leads of this, but then it's also like the Cyclops book.
Mm-hmm. So for this, it's of course a whole world turned upside down. I don't think we mentioned the creative team. John Francis Moore wrote this, and Steve Epting did the art for most of this. Although we'll mention a few points where he did not do the art.
Steve Epting of the Brubaker Captain America run.
Yes. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. In this world, Scott and Alex are both working for Mr. Sinister, who was one of the horsemen for Apocalypse. And they're pretty high up. What are they? Prelates? Is that how you say that word? Prelates?
Yeah, it made me feel like they were. I kept thinking of like Prefect from Harry Potter. Like they're high up nerds.
They're right. They're in charge of all the other the people down there. They are in charge of like the pens, the prison, where they have all the various prisoners that they've collected. Of course, Apocalypse would have a lot of prisoners, right? And the book opens with them trying to like hunt down some prisoners. I guess there was a Morlock who was helping some people escape, and they're rounding them up. And Alex is just like a super asshole. He's way rough. He's definitely a cop, and he is.
All Havocs are bad.
He kills him. He kills that Morlock lady, and it's like, all right, you didn't have to do that.
She had a knife, yeah. You saw it.
She had a knife. Yeah, I had to. Self-defense. The Statue of Liberty has been replaced in this world with a statue of Apocalypse. And Mr. Sinister has like a little base for himself there, and he's monologuing about how something's like forced his hand. He's got to turn on he's got to turn on Apocalypse now. And I guess that's Sinister's whole arc, which some of the editor's notes seem to suggest that we see more of that in other books. But yeah, he's piecing out on Apocalypse and turning towards the Resistance group.
Yeah, Sinister sees that like World War III is coming, and he's like, "Well, this will ruin my plans for genetic experimenting on stuff." So he immediately betrays Apocalypse.
It's a weird call though for me. He's got to be in other books, right? Because otherwise, it seems really weird to just introduce Mr. Sinister in this alternate universe only to quit his job like a day later.
Yeah, he's in X-Men, and he might be in Weapon X as well. Okay. But yeah, so he's not in this book, but I'm sure he'll show up in X-Men, because that's the other thing is once we're done with enough of these, we'll read X-Men Omega and Prime, two like giant size books back to back. Cool. And I'm sure he'll show up in at least Omega.
Yeah. To talk about these like genetic experiments he's been doing, he's got like the Beast, who is like just in charge of doing these experiments down there. We kind of saw him in like the other books that we read, but I don't know. I feel like we got real into it now and just like saw his lair, and he's always down there just making cool stuff. I like him a lot. But these prisoners do not like it, and they are begging.
He is like melting them down into genetic soup. It's very much like Nazi experimentation.
Yeah, he seems bad.
Gross. Yeah, it's very bad.
It's funny too because he still talks like the Beast. He's like, "Oh my stars and garters, who should come to visit me in my spooky lab?" Like,
it's creepier. It's so much creepier. He's like one of the scariest comic book characters I feel like I've seen in a while. I love it. So who else do they have here? They've got the Guthries, who. Sam Guthrie is Cannonball. I know I've read stuff with him before. Who is his sister? Elizabeth, right? Is she? Yeah. Who was she in the?
She is nobody in the comics.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't recognize her.
They reference their sister Paige, who's in Generation X, and she's in the Generation X Apocalypse book, Generation Next. But yeah, Elizabeth Guthrie, not a mutant in Marvel 616 at this time. So they just made this new character.
One more.
Or I guess they gave her powers because now she grows.
Yeah, she can grow big. I don't think we got any sort of like a superhero name or anything for her though. They just called her Elizabeth.
I read online they called her Amazon somewhere. I didn't see that in the book at all.
Okay. Alex goes and talks to Beast, who's doing his experiments. They talk about all that fucked up shit he's making, and Alex is like, "Hey, I want to turn on my brother and kill him and let you experiment on him." I was like, I came a little quick for me. I did not expect that to show up in this scene.
We only got 4 issues with these stories. We're gonna have to move fucking quickly.
Yeah, they're moving quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of subplots too, so we got to get the main plot of Alex wants to kill Cyclops like from the beginning.
You know what? Though? It's super relatable. Like the beginning, I'm like. Because I don't know my X-Men very well. When they were like fighting those Morlocks, I'm like, are those also characters? Is that the team I'm supposed to be following? I don't know what's going on.
Right.
So, but like now it's like, okay, the thing I'm going to latch onto, I'm going to latch onto Havok trying to kill Cyclops. And I don't like Cyclops because he's a dick. So I'm on board.
Even though Havok seems really bad, you're like, yeah, but Cyclops.
But to be fair, like we don't even know where Cyclops' allegiances are yet here. Like Cyclops works for Mr. Sinister.
Right.
I mean, look, Havok killed a Morlock who was trying to free prisoners, and Cyclops was like, "You didn't have to be so rough." I think I know where my allegiances are lying.
Okay. It's with Havok, right? Of course.
Oh my god! Sorry. So we then meet the Bedlam brothers. There's a lot of siblings in this book. I feel like they paired them off. It does make it easier to just like have more characters and remember them.
Two bodies equal one person.
Yeah.
Which Apocalypse points out. He's like, yeah, Mr. Sinister's got like a thing for this. He's really weird about it.
That seems like an editor line. I can't remember the writer's name, but something Francis. I'm like, yeah, he really likes writing siblings for sure. Give them all to him.
Why not? Were these characters that exist in the 616 universe?
So these characters did not exist at the time, but Jesse Bedlam joins X-Force in about 2 years from this story being published, and he has the same powers. He can make machines not work. And then about a year after that, King Bedlam fights X-Force, and it's his brother. The bald Bedlam brother who has the ability to mess up people's minds. So they do show up. It's John Francis Moore is writing X-Force by that point. So it's the same characters that he created here. But yeah, this is their first appearance.
Okay. They're nice brothers. I like them. They're generally good.
Two bad Bedlam brothers, one of whom is balding.
I always think it's just like this stuck out at me, and I'm like I can buy it when the mutant gene has triggered in you and like lasers spew out of your eyeballs, right? It's like crazy, but I can get it. When the mutant gene gives you the power to shut down machines, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know.
Like you're looking for like a scientific explanation. Like I can understand that you would have the power to like short circuit microchips. I don't understand how the mutant gene would allow you to rewrite code.
I don't know. All right, so Scott's trying to get in touch with Mr. Sinister. He's disappeared. They can't talk to him. Alex heads to Angel's Club that Warren Worthington owns. Heaven is what it's called. It's like a little safe haven kind of place that has no allegiance. It's like, hey, anyone can hang out here. They have a human as their singer. She's like a redheaded singer named Scarlett McKenzie.
Scarlett McKenzie. Which
is she? Yeah.
Yes. So we'll have to read at some point. Put it on the list. Wolverine Havok Meltdown 4-issue limited series. She's a character in that.
Wow. Okay.
It's on the list. Wolverine.
I've never heard of her.
I'm going to say, Chris, you said this at some point that we should put this on the list, and you're going to be like, I don't know why, but okay.
I think it was well received. I remember, maybe it's just because of trading cards. I remember, like trading cards would be like, oh, these are like big team ups that heroes had. I remember reading about this series that Wolverine and Havok had. They have a big adventure. Somebody shoots them with like a plague-infected bullet or something, and they have to, solve some big mystery. but it's them like hanging out in Mexico. It seems like it's a fun series, but yeah, that's where she's from. She's a character from that who has some connection to Alex. So this is just a like Alex Summers. These are like all the characters they're going to show up in this book.
I see. And yeah, she's like a singer at this fancy club, and then Henry Gyrich attacks, and he's just like a nerd, and he's like, you mutants, I'm gonna get you. But the Bedlam brothers just shut him down super fast. So like one of them gets in his mind, the other one shuts down his guns, bam, they're done. And then afterwards, Scarlet's like, whew, boy, I can't sing after all that. It's time to shut down the show. Good night, everybody. And she goes backstage, and she's macking with Alex. Oh my god. Havok is making out with a human, and that's like, I guess, not okay. Of course it's not okay in this world. So Alex is a little bit late to work the next day, and the Bedlam brothers are like, hey, Betty was macking on that lady. And what did they say? Like, oh, of course we wouldn't do anything like that. We know what's the word they use for like this is illegal. Anyways, it would be illegal.
Miscegenation.
Sure. And so where are they? They're hanging out with Scott. They are like, hey, we got to go figure out what's going on with Sinister. They go to his place. The robots or whatever, the automated security system won't let him in.
They are brains in jars.
Yeah,
that are
6.
Oh, that's right. They're we'll learn more about them in the next issue, but they're like, they run the security for the whole place, and we'll learn more about them.
I think they're cool. I think it's a cool flourish.
They are very cool. I like them. And they come up a few times in this book. But they bust into the place. The whole place has been ransacked. Sinister is gone. And Scott's like, okay, well, I guess I'm in charge of the pens now.
Yeah, I like that Cyclops, they're like, did someone attack Sinister? And he's like, no, he did this himself. Like, he immediately knows that Sinister is like destroying his own lab and everything. He's like, yep, that's Sinister. He's doing this. And then the issue ends. Apocalypse, who built this statue of Apocalypse over the Statue of Liberty? Like, they knocked it over and just built one of Apocalypse.
It looks good. I think it's a nice fat statue, that goes all the way down to the thing too. It's got some more size to it than the Statue of Liberty. I prefer the Apocalypse one.
You think it's still just as tall? Like, so it looks kind of tiny when it's out in the harbor?
I mean, yeah, but again, if it's that tall but like fatter, I think it works. Okay. It's like, I think it's okay. But yeah, that statue is set to self-destruct because that was also where Sinister had some stuff. Oh no. We didn't. Yep. I feel like I kind of maybe skipped over it a little bit, but like Sinister had his little like a monologuing moment talking about like, oh, the Summers boys, I'm gonna have to leave you be now, and like he was setting them free. He like raised these kids essentially as his own, right? And feels a little sad about having to leave them behind. But yeah, these are pretty packed issues here. That was just the first issue here. I feel like there's a lot to talk about in each of these. I always forget how like from a certain era, comics just like were packed compared to how they are sometimes these days.
Well, and to get to the end, but like I do appreciate that about these Age of Apocalypse books, is they are only 4 issues, which is good. They don't overstay their welcome, and they are fucking packed.
Yeah. So
they were more expensive than a regular issue. They were like $2. You're like, oh my god, this is so much.
It's part of the event. I got it.
I mean, but yeah, you're spending like $14 a month on X-Men comics. Like, that's a lot. That's like 3 times my Goosebumps allowance.
Yeah,
it is nice that they at least kept the event limited to like X-Men comics, of course. Like, you would kind of have to, but it'd be weird to like, it's their story. It does kind of muddy it up. Like, we're talking about Fear itself, and like everybody gets like a tie-in comic and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, famously, Onslaught is 3 years or 4 years after this, and what do the Fantastic Four think about Onslaught? What does Spider-Man think about Onslaught? And it's like, well, they don't really know what's going on, so they're not going to have anything really to do with it. It's just kind of a useless tie-in.
And this is also really well self-contained from like the Astonishing X-Men we just read. Like, you got a start book and an end book, and everybody else is just kind of hanging out, as opposed to like Civil War, where Spider-Man unmasks, and we've got to have the entire Marvel line react to that. And then issue 3 comes out, and the entire Marvel line has got to react to issue 3. Like, we couldn't do this if there was like a core book like that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like a couple of references where they're like, oh, ever since I talked to, X-Man, my powers have increased, where you're just like, see issues of X-Man, where it's like, yeah, you don't actually have to read it. Like
Right.
they told you what happens.
Because that's been our trouble with like I'm derailing us. I'm sorry. That's been our trouble with like Seven Soldiers. Because I can't tell if we can read like all 4 issues of Clarion the Witch Boy, like in one go, or do we have to go like in the order every book was published? So like Clarion 1, and then Zatanna 2, and then Clarion will be 5 issues later. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm having a hard time.
Yeah,
this is easy. Like Chris is like, just read these in this order. Because these are the,
I feel like it'd be, I don't know. I really don't have the answer to that. I feel like they're readable on their own, but like I don't know how much you'd get out of it on their own.
Right.
All right. So Factor X number 2. This is where we really learn a lot more about this brain trust. 6 telepaths. What did somebody say? It's like a Minority Report, right?
That's an interesting way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. But they like keep all the prisoners at bay. Like that's their main job, just to like telepathically make all the prisoners like just kind of not want to leave. But of course, I guess some people are like a little bit resistant to the telepathy sort of thing, so that's why they need real guards, of course. But Polaris is there, and she's being saved by like a couple of just random people. I think, what are they? Tommy Chang and Samantha Dupree. Are these names that jumped out at you at all, Chris?
Wait, what? I thought it was Magneto's who she thinks
I think he's calling people to be. That's somebody.
Oh, is that what it is?
Other people to be rescued with Lorna Dane, aka Polaris,
I see.
aka
okay.
Green.
So those are the people.
And is she Magneto's daughter also?
All right. So she thinks she's Magneto's daughter. Okay. For sure. And she's having these visions that Magneto is saving her, even though it is just like random people. But I don't know, were they saving her? Were they? No, because they're like saving other people, and she's still there afterwards because she's too crazy. She's like, "Oh, this vision, my dad is leaving me, Magneto."
Well, I think we learn later when we reveal who that actually is. I think they said like, I only was rescuing the people, like underground railroading them, that people I thought could actually survive, like because they are higher up, they couldn't just compromise their position and let everybody free. They had to.
Did we see who it actually was here? I know later. It's okay. Spoiler.
Yeah, it's like a computer like image or whatever, where it's all misty, and she just wants to see Magneto. So when they're interrogating her, they're like, "Who was it?" And she's like, "Magneto," and they're like, "No, really, who was it?"
I see. I didn't even get the impression that there was supposed to be a mystery person that she was seeing as Magneto. I thought it was just like random people doing the rescuing, and she was just seeing Magneto because she's just like, wishing for Magneto, which I guess that aspect of it is still true. But she's just crying. She's like, "I'm your daughter. Don't you recognize me?" But it's not even Magneto, so she's just crying to nobody. We get Scott and Alex. They're heading to Apocalypse. The word, I guess, is out that Mr. Sinister was working with the underground movement. And Scott is like, he's pretty good at standing his ground when he talks to Apocalypse. And Apocalypse was like, "Hey, man, you're pretty good. Maybe I'll make you a horseman." And Alex is sitting there like, "Oh, damn it, this is terrible. I hate this. Bad idea. No." Alex is such a little. He sucks.
Just because my boss quit, suddenly my brother, who I hate, is gonna get promoted. This fucking sucks.
He's so bad. Apocalypse is like I forget what Apocalypse says, but Cyclops doesn't like flinch or whatever, and Apocalypse is like, "Good, you're gonna be an awesome replacement for Sinister, not like your brother there, who's a coward who sucks."
And then like, I love he tries to get in like, and then you could also count on me for. And Apocalypse like, "I'm done here. Get out."
Yeah, I love it. Apocalypse has no time for Havok being like, "I'm also a brown noser." If that's did you like that, Apocalypse?
Oh man. So then Alex is like going to talk to is it the Guthries he's talking to here about like this breakout, and who was it who scrambled the camera, and they're like, "Oh, this green-haired lady saw it all. She must have, we must be able to talk to her and figure out who it was." So they go try to talk to her, but she's like rambling and she's crazy, and she like freaks out and uses her powers on Alex briefly, even though like the brain trust is supposed to be holding her down. So they're like, "Oh my god, this is terrible."
And she keeps being like, "Alex, no," where he's like, "I don't know you."
Yeah, I definitely got the impression that like she remembers stuff from the real world. Did we already see that a little bit in the other books?
Bishop
I mean,
does,
like,
obviously.
yeah, Bishop
Yeah.
remembers everything, but
And he
yeah, for the
told
most part,
Magneto, right?
yeah.
Yeah, he told Magneto. He made him remember. But yeah, I kind of get the impression that Lorna also knows everything.
It seems like because she's insane in this version, she seems to have like some connection to the like regular world where she knows like, oh, Alex is like, like my love interest for like years
Right.
and years and years. But he's like, we've never met. Why are you calling me Alex?
So he's like, okay, let's take her to the Beast. He can like look into her brain and see, what did she see? And Beast had scanned her once before. They had already determined when she first arrived to them that Magneto is not her dad, that she just like experienced some trauma and has similar magnetic powers. So that's where the story like in her head came from, but she's just crazy.
Yeah, that's also interesting too, because we've seen that, Rogue and Magneto, obviously they had a child, but it's like Rogue apparently stole Polaris's powers in this reality and then like permanently has some of her magnetic powers. And like, I guess that's how they're able to do that.
Yeah.
Instead of Ms. Marvel.
So yeah, Lorna just like keeps on yelling for Alex the whole time. Why are you doing this to me? Sinister is on. He's already left, and the Bedlam brothers are like investigating the ruins of the statue, and they found maybe some evidence that he has a safe house there, but they don't know where he is anymore. And Cyclops shows up. They're telling him all this, and then Angel shows up because he heard about Mr. Sinister, and he's worried about like a full-scale World War III. So he's like, all right. What does this visit actually accomplish, though? I don't know. I think he's maybe trying to work with Cyclops.
Yeah.
Alex is shirtless in bed with this redheaded human singer. Scarlett McKenzie is her name. But she is like, I was like, what's her name? I was trying to remember. I had it. But she, like, he has to leave or whatever, and she gets on the phone with somebody from the council. She's working for them.
The human council.
She's on the
right?
human council.
Okay.
Oh my God, who would have thought that the human was working for the humans? Shit.
And she's like, oh no, my friend Karma was arrested. I guess the New Mutant Karma was in Amazing X-Men #2 has been arrested, so she's freaking out.
Oh yeah, she's like they found the bartender here. They found out she was one of them too. Oh no. So Beast is working on Lorna's head. He can't find anything in there. So he's like, all right, let's cut it open and start doing some brain surgery. And Cyclops shows up and says, you got to stop. No genetic testing during the Kelly Pact negotiations. Not allowed. Beast is not happy about this. Yeah. And then at night.
Yeah, he's like these talks are just for show. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway. And Cyclops is like, no, you're not. Like I have Sinister's job right now. And he zaps his equipment. Is like, I'm in charge. And as he's walking away, like Polaris is like, you like she's seeing Magneto's like ghostly form.
Oh yes,
as he's walking away.
And I didn't really pick up on that. I thought she was just like always seeing Magneto no matter what. But I guess something there reminded her of Magneto. But at night, somebody with a cape and one glowing eye comes in to save Lorna. I wonder who it could be.
We never said this, but Cyclops.
Probably Cable.
I did think it was maybe Cable or Bishop.
I thought Cable for a second, yeah.
But I don't know if the book ever called attention to it, or if I just glossed past it. The Cyclops, one of his eyes is gone up until this point, and he's basically got hair over one eye, and he shoots all of his lasers out of one eyeball. Spoiler alert, I guess, for who this dude in the shadow could possibly be. But she also was like, the person who rescued me reminds me of Cyclops. Huh, who could it be? But the book does a pretty good job of not really like ever telling that until like I think issue 3. Cyclops is missing an eye, and it's a cool
I kind of
design.
forgot about the missing eye aspect. I just thought, oh yeah, that's just how Cyclops has always been. Even in 616, he's just missing an eye, right?
He looks. I mean, it's Steve Epting, but he looks like Bucky from the Winter Soldier. Like he's got like a lot of like metal armor on one arm, but only one arm. He's got like long hair and like kind of like a permanent scowl. It's basically just the Winter Soldier design a little early.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good design.
But it's like it's a marriage of that and Cyclops because he's got the like one over the shoulder hall monitor buckle.
Freaking hall monitor.
Safety
but,
patrols.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we haven't actually outright said it, but the person who is in the hood with the one eye who is saving these mutants is Cyclops. Oh my god, and he's working against himself? What? And he is, he's just helping people get to safety. But guess what? Havok saw the whole damn thing. Oh no, and he got it on tape. Oh shit.
Yeah. It's
Got
also
you this time, brother.
Yeah. The Human League agent is Valerie Cooper, who is X Factor's like human liaison
Hey, I know
at
that
the time.
That name sounds familiar, yeah. Good for Valerie Cooper.
Yep. So I think this is her only appearance in the book, but I was like, oh, there she is. So you got Lorna Dane, you've got Valerie Cooper. I don't think we've seen Wolfsbane yet, but she'll show up.
Will she? Okay.
We'll see.
We
not in human form.
That's what I figured. All right. So we get to issue 3 here. They're back at the base. All the soldiers are fighting one of Beast's creatures that got out, like his experiments. And Havok is like, "Hey, this is how you put him down." Does the job. Then Scott gets back, and Alex is all like, "Hey, where were you for the past 2 hours? Did you know that North Star and Aurora got hurt on patrol because some guy in a hood helped Polaris out? I bet you already knew that, didn't you?" And
I don't. Did we mention North Star and Aurora are the other brother and sister group?
That's right. We didn't. I forgot about them. They don't. I feel like there are times in this book when the Guthries and what are the Jean-Paul Beaubier, is that their North Star and Aurora's names?
Yeah.
And Jean something. But I feel like they are very interchangeable with the Guthries. Like they don't seem to fill any new position at all, and it really could have been the same people again. But they're there too. I guess they can fly.
But in an alternate universe, I want to see multiple characters, so I'm okay with it.
True.
Usually,
Any
other story, I'm like, you have too many groups of siblings. I'm getting them confused. Although they're just they're just window dressing, so it doesn't really matter who they are. They're just somebody to say "Hey, what happened?" And they're like, looks destroyed." Like you could have anybody say that.
Yeah.
They are more memorable as siblings. But then another Beast gets out and claws at Havok down there, and Scott saves Alex's life, and he hates it. Oh my god, he hates it so much. Scott has a little bit of a monologue moment where he explains "Oh, I don't believe my own cause anymore. That's why I gotta help as many people as I can out there." And then Jean Grey is just poking around their base, all by herself, I guess. I don't know why. But Alex finds her and blasts her unconscious. Oh,
yep.
man.
Yep. So Jean encounters Wolfsbane in wolf form, blasts her, and then Havok takes that opportunity to shoot her in the back, and then kicks an unconscious Wolfsbane. It kicks the dog, just in case you're like, is Havok a good guy here?
I didn't even catch that was Wolfsbane. I want to look over those panels again here. I thought it was just a dog.
She never turns back into human form, but one of the story elements from the beginning of Peter David's X Factor is she's psychically bonded to Alex and just follows him around like a dog, and he's like, "Leave me alone." So it's very much just riffing on that, where it's just he just has this dog following him around that he doesn't seem to like.
That's cool.
I do
like
see
the fact that I didn't need to know that at all for this story, but that is a cool added element that definitely, if even in this universe, that's how it be. That's cool.
Yeah. And Jean does have a thought bubble where she's like, "Oh, there is a human inside this wolf psyche," and I guess she was going to talk more about it, but that's when Havok catches her.
Yeah,
gets shot in the back.
Too bad.
It's just otherwise, she's just fighting a werewolf in my head. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Wolfsbane is kind of a werewolf, so.
Yeah. So back at the Heaven nightclub, Scarlet might be pregnant. Warren is coming up to talk to her, and the Bedlam brothers, they show up on official business. They have evidence that Scarlet has been working for the Human High Council because that bartender Karma spilled the beans, and Scarlet goes running.
This is also where our fill-in artist has shown up.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
A lot of the lines seem to disappear from everyone, and all the women get much hotter.
Yeah, because I'm
Yes,
like, I'm
this is
pregnant,
when-
but man, I got some titties in a butt. And I'm like, Epting doesn't usually draw this. Like, okay, oh yeah, the Dodsons are here. That's right.
Yeah, Terry Dodson takes over for a little bit. It is very, very noticeable that there's a little shift in the art here. We haven't really talked much about the art, but I do feel like throughout the whole thing, everybody is super distinct, and you generally know exactly who you're looking at in a given moment, which is like always my favorite thing for an artist to do.
So Steve Epting at this point, like he had a relatively long run on the Avengers that was okay. But like this is right in his wheelhouse. I feel like this is like the first time I remember seeing his art and being like, this is awesome. Like where has this guy been? So yeah, it's jarring when all of a sudden. I mean, I like the Dodson's art. This is like their mid '90s. Like this isn't even their sort of final form of the sort of cheesecakey art that they do. But
they did Marvel Knights Spider-Man that was very cheesecakey, but it was very good too.
Yeah, I'm sure the Black Cat showed up plenty.
Oh, she did. She did.
She did. But yeah, they I remember they had a run on Generation X around this time that I feel like was a little bit inappropriate because they're like, okay, Emma Frost is an adult, but no one else is. So I don't know if this is good. But yeah, this is. I like their art in general, but it's weird that all of a sudden it's this because it's not like
very weird.
Butch Geist does such a good job of sort of blending his art to make it look like Steve Epting's that you don't notice it on Captain America. Here you're like, what happened? It looks very cartoony too. Like all the faces are like so different.
Well, and it looks like they added in like airbrush coloring because this is like pre-digital coloring, or maybe that's just how our version is. But everybody's got like airbrushed hair and skin. It's very odd.
Yeah. Well, and then you look at Epting's and it's just like, you turn the page over to where it's Alex and Cyclops again. And it's just like there's Alex's eyes are completely shattered by his brow. And you're like, well, that's Steve Epting again. Like the second you see that picture, you're like, yep, that's
Epting. And this is before Epting did CrossGen?
Oh, yeah. This was like 7 or 8 years before he did CrossGen.
Okay. Because I just assumed he came from CrossGen. Okay.
No, yeah, like I said, he did Avengers in like 1991 was like his first ongoing book, and he did that for like 2 years, and then this was like the next thing he does. And like I said, this is so much better than his Avengers, which his Avengers is fine, but it's a sort of bright team book thing, and it doesn't really fit his sensibilities, I don't think, as well as this does.
Yeah, this is also like it's very recognizably Epting from like Captain America, I know, and like that book Sarah, but also it's got that feel of like early 90s dystopia like that we read with that Hulk Future Imperfect by George Perez that has that like just like very jam-packed future dystopian 90s look to it that I really like also. It's very much a 90s comic, you can tell.
No.
So they catch Scarlet and they're taking her away, and then I've already lost track. I had all this time to catch back up. Oh yeah, one of those Bedlam brothers was like, "Hey Angel, that's 2 of the people who work for you. You're kind of close to this. I'm having this feeling we're gonna be coming back for you pretty soon here." Then Alex runs into Scott. Alex has been drinking. He tells Scott, "Hey, you're a traitor," and he's like, "Whoa, where's this accusation coming from?" Takes him down to Beast's lab to show him something. Shows him that they've caught Jean Grey and that Beast is about to start experimenting on her. He's trying to break into her brain, but she's putting up her classic Jean Grey psychic defenses. And we get the history of Jean Grey in this world, which was, I don't know. I kind of really like the way they presented it. It was short and sweet, and you kind of get a little bit of everything. The idea is that they originally caught Jean Grey like a few years back during an early battle against Magneto and his X-Men. And they captured her. They tried to kind of, I guess, brainwash her and turn her to their side, but she's just too psychically powerful, kept fighting it. And like over time, Scott like fell in love with her and wanted to free her.
Yeah, but then in the meantime, Sinister is like, if I match up Scott Summers' DNA with Jean Grey's DNA, I could have some sort of cable. That would be great.
Oh. And then before he could like free her though, Wolverine shows up and slices Cyclops' eye out and rescues Jean Grey, and they're out of there.
And Cyclops also blasts off Wolverine's hand. That's why he's got
Yes.
like a hook hand or whatever. He's got like a stump.
Yes. Which is a lot of information to put out there in such a short little, like, a few bits of panels.
It's like one page, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, but I was just like, whoa, like, okay, that's a lot of backstory to take in all at once. But I'm like, it just like sat perfectly fine with me, and I'm like, okay, here we go, let's keep going.
Yeah, it's good. Comics around this time, had done the like, as like previously for so long. Like this is, obviously we've never seen this story, so they're just like, well, as we all know, Cyclops and Jean Grey have a rich history, which I mean we do know that. But it's just like, oh, but this is not anything we know. I just thought in every reality, Cyclops just goes stupid every time he sees Jean Grey.
Yeah, I was liking this book up until I was on board and everything, but this was like, oh, I'm like super on board with this book now. But so then Alex says he has like video of Scott freeing the prisoners, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna kill Jean Grey and see if you do anything about it and see if you're a traitor. And then before that happens, though, the Guthries attack Cyclops and they knock him out. And Alex is like, all right, I'm not going to kill you. We just want to make you suffer. We're going to give you to the Beast and let him do whatever he wants to. Cool. So now Jean and Cyclops are locked up. The Beast is preparing for all his plans for them. But Jean busts out, gets Scott out of there, too. They do have a moment where Havok mentions to Scott that he has video of him freeing the prisoners, and like Jean kind of like notices this, and she remembers it later and asks him, was like, hey, are you, did you really free the prisoners? Like, okay, I could tell you were kind of a good guy. And so they're like together now and they bust out.
I thought you were like a Boy Scout, but it turns out you're a cool dude.
And then this ending, oh my God, I love this ending. So Apocalypse gets a word that Alex has taken over the pens from Scott. And so Apocalypse says, all right, I guess I'm going to shut down the pens because I were really only there to make Sinister happy, and he's gone. I don't care about him anymore. So, shut it down, kill all the prisoners. So I thought it was funny that, that Havok finally worked his way up to being the head of the pens, and now the pens are getting shut down.
Yeah.
Too bad. And then on to issue 4 here. It starts off with them clearing out the pens. They're rounding up all the prisoners, and they're just going to kill them because there's no need to keep them around anymore. And Beast is a little like, hey, these are perfectly good bodies I could be experimenting on. What are y'all doing this for?
Yeah, Beast doesn't seem to like it because it's wasting all of his genetic material, and the Bedlams don't seem to like it because it's horrible.
Because it's evil. And then Jean and Scott are like trying to sneak out. They run into the Bedlam brothers while they're on their way to the Brain Trust. They want to free the Brain Trust. So they let them through. And then the Bedlams are just kind of like have a conversation with themselves. Like, I guess we're good guys now? Hey, sure, we're good guys now. Cool. So then some guards come to get Angel. What did they find on him? It was like some robot guards. They're like, hey, we're coming to get you. And he's like, damn, I got to bail out of my nightclub. Quit playing both sides. Time to head underground. So Angel's a good guy too now, I guess.
Glad I left this elevator shaft empty the entire time.
Hey, yeah. Why? Yeah. How does that work?
I don't expect the elevator at my nightclubs to be that good.
Maybe it's got like a nice big top that he can open to like
just
fly.
See the meetings like Warren. Like, it takes a lot of time for people to get in and out here. We could really improve the cycle time if we use the other elevator shaft. And Warren's like, no. There's gonna be a
but
day.
Then again, yeah, like if that's his like his fireman's bolt,
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's how he gets in and out, and he just likes having an empty elevator shaft. I don't know. It's not bad. The Guthries catch up to the Bedlam brothers, and they're like, hey, you guys let Scott and Jean through. You guys are traitors, and they have a little fight, but the Bedlam brothers are fine.
Bedlam brothers hate them because they're white trash who are rude, and so they beat them up.
They are very rude. I'm glad they get beat up. They're just as bad as Havok.
They are. They're immediately when Havoc's like, I'm gonna kill my brother. They're like, oh, good.
Yeah, we're on board.
I just realized that Scott and Cyclops are also a sibling pair in this group.
yeah, for me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, Apocalypse points out it's like Sinister and his weird brothers and sisters thing. Like
Love
he
siblings.
just loves it. He's a weirdo.
And then we get so Jean and Scott, they get to the brain trust, and the brain trust puts up its defenses, tries to attack them, and they have a little psychic battle. Jean has to kill them though, but then I guess the whole all of the prisoners' minds are starting to come back now that the brain trust isn't keeping them down, including some of Beast's creations, which should like start to fight him. There's like this one dude's face during all this. Was this a Dotson thing as well? It's so weird looking.
It is Dotson art. I don't know which one
It
you're
must have
talking
been.
about.
It's like a very clear, like I'm trying to find the panel. There's like a dude's face. Oh, I'm still looking at issue 3. That's why. I'm like, where is this dude's face? But it's like at the very bottom of the panel. It's like a dude popping his head up and like screaming. It's like, oh my god, the Beast! It's very bizarre looking. This whole series is these animals are so like clearly drawn as well. They don't fit into this book at all. The lizard head and the like minotaur head, like they're such clearly defined animals compared to like Steve Epting's random dog beasts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Very weird. We also got a little scene with Alex being mad at Scarlet. And he's like, yeah, I can't believe you're working for the humans, you human. Why shouldn't I just kill you? She says, I'm pregnant. It didn't start out this way. And then the lights go out.
Yeah, he's like,
did we see anything else of them after this?
We never see what happens in Scarlet, no.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm just realizing what happens to Scarlet. Maybe we'll find out in another book. So Alex then comes out. He confronts Jean and Scott, says, I'm going to kill you, Cyclops. But their powers cancel each other out. So he's got to like do it the old fashioned way with his knife. But Scott knocks him out with a punch. And that's it. That's the fight.
Yeah.
Boy, Havok just keeps getting punked out in this book. No, everybody treats him like a joke.
Yeah. Jean clearly, she's like, he's not dead. Like clearly saying like, would you want me to finish the job? And he's like, no, I'll deal with it. I'm not going to kill him.
Yeah, I'm not going to kill my brother. I'll deal with him when he comes around later. Scott and Jean free all the prisoners. And then at the end, we find out Alex is still alive. Dun, dun, dun. Not really a cliffhanger because Jean Grey told us already. But
Wolfsbane wakes him up.
Yeah. Wait, who wakes him up?
Wolfsbane, I told you.
The werewolf that loves
I
him.
heard Wheelspin. I don't know why I heard Wheelspin. I don't know who Wheelspin is. Not an X-Men I'm familiar with. Wolfsbane wakes him up. Okay. This is why this dog was important. I did miss so much. Wow. Great. I mean, that's kind of it. It did leave us hanging a little bit, but at the same time, we learned so much about this world. We got a lot of minor resolution about a lot of things, but I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of fun.
I was really surprised with how much I loved it. Like, what was the story of Astonishing X-Men? I barely remember what was happening there. That was like
they like went
Center,
to somewhere.
right?
They all teamed up to like go to some base or something.
They find Holocaust.
They fought Holocaust. Yeah, they did that.
They fought Wildchild, who I thought was Sabretooth. And then they were tripping over themselves.
Wildchild helps them.
Right. And they were tripping over themselves to do suicide missions.
Yes, Sabretooth tries to do like a heroic sacrifice, but then he doesn't die because he's got a healing factor. And then Blink has like a big moment where she fights Holocaust for a while. It's mostly just a series of fights. And then Morph disguises himself as Moby Dick.
That's right. Yeah.
Sperm whale and jumps up onto Holocaust's base as a whale, and everyone's like, "What is going on?"
It is kind of incredible how different the two miniseries were, though. Like, it does. Like, this was such a focused series on, like, definitely just Scott and Alex and whatever's going on between them. And
go
ahead.
You can tell so much. This is. I mean, I don't know how much. I don't know if they were still doing the true Marvel method, or if it's just that they had an artist writer retreat and came up with ideas. But like that Astonishing X-Men is so much of the manga influenced art that Uncanny X-Men had at the time. And this is like such a Steve Epting, like they're always in these like shadowy, beasts, spooky lab, and Apocalypse sitting on thrones of skeletons. Like it's also like moody, where I'm like, yeah, they clearly let the artists be like, what do you want to do in in your book?
Yeah, it's awesome. And like really all the character designs are like familiar but different enough to make them interesting. And it's really just like fun to read, fun to get a sense of everybody. I like I said, I missed some stuff, but I never felt lost throughout the whole book. Like I really had I felt like I had a good sense of who everybody was. And
yeah. Like I think like the first few pages, I'm like, oh Lord, what did I get myself into?
yes.
We committed to like 7 Age of Apocalypse minis, and this is number 2. I'm like, oh, this was a bad idea, Vince. But then after that, once it like latched onto like the Scott and the Scott and Havok stuff, then it was really easy to just look like, okay, I got this. This is real easy. They've got like a new job because their boss has left. This seems easy. Lorna, who I've probably heard the name and probably read in something, like she was easily understandable even without all that back history. Like I feel like the book gave me enough of what she had to not make it confusing. It didn't throw too many confusing characters or it just like made like, you don't even know who the Bedlam brothers are. Tell the Guthries apart. They're just like the henchmen who fight each other. Like it's fine. It was good. It was really good. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this. And it also prompted me like, we should read some X Factor. Like either the detective one or the Peter David run before this.
Put it on the list. I think it's probably time for us to move on to Avengers. Anything else y'all want to say about Age of Apocalypse or Factor X?
So
I'm excited to read more.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. I think it really walks a fine line. Like it reminds me of like New 52 and other stuff that has tried to do like a reboot and has gone, I think, too far into like being like edgy and cool in a way that seems fake and stupid. Like this manages to toe the line where I'm never like, ugh, this is a little much. This is too edgy for me. Like it always manages to like not quite be. I mean, and again, Apocalypse is sitting on like a throne of human skulls. It's ridiculous.
Right, but like like we've got like Beast, but he's dark and evil now. But still, it's like still like super sciencey. It's like, but it works. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel dishonest. I mean, it's different from what the character is, but it like works for the story. It's not too far. Yeah.
Yeah, you're never just like, ugh, I don't, this doesn't feel, it doesn't feel like any of the X-Men are just like, have skateboards and are just saying like radical. It feels like it's earned in the like how grim dark it can be.
Yeah. But cool. All right, on to Avengers number 173. How far are we reading until? 177 is what we're going till. So we better be getting close to this Korvac saga here because it's been going for a while.
Hey, we're getting there. Korvac appears in this one.
Korvac does appear in this one. But right now we are dealing with the mysterious disappearances of a lot of Avengers. They're just like blinking out of existence and they can't figure out what's going on. We have seen a dude in the shadow who seems to be like collecting them in some giant test tube things. But Iron Man now has called in some old Avengers because the current ones are disappearing. And you can see at the table there's Marvel, there's Black Panther, and there's some old guy who I don't recognize. Who's that old guy?
It's Wizard.
Oh.
He's the Wizard. I don't know if the Wizard, he's a speedster. I'm not sure if he's the Squadron Supreme Wizard.
He is the Squadron. No. Yeah. No. I think he's supposed to be.
No, he's not. He is the Invaders Marvel, the superhero team that they said was in the 40s that they retroactively created to put Captain America and Human Torch and those guys with other heroes. Yeah, so he's from
1941 is his first appearance. He was in the Spider-Man cartoon where this really confused me as a kid, but the Spider-Man 94 cartoon, they brought back Captain America and a few other heroes as time travelers, and Wizard was one of them. I don't know what he's doing here in the 70s, but here
He
is.
does nothing in this book. He does nothing.
Yeah, he, I guess, had an adventure with them earlier, and he's like, I'm not doing that again.
I like to imagine that Iron Man like invited him to the meeting and like didn't remember him or didn't know how old he was, and he shows up and he's just like, "Hey, I'm here for the meeting," hoping they have like some coffee and a bagel.
He told Janet or whoever to call. I can't remember who's still not disappeared, but whoever was like, call everybody, every single Avenger. And then like Black Panther shows up, and like Captain Marvel shows up, and then this old guy shows up. It's like, when were you an Avenger? Okay,
Didn't have to call him.
Pretty sad state of Avengers lineups.
My favorite is that Hercules and Black Widow are on their way there as well, and they're on a plane together, just like a regular plane. And Hercules doesn't want to get off the plane. He's like flirting with a bunch of ladies.
Remember, Guy Ritchie.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Thank you.
Yes. And Black Widow and Hercules were members of the Champions, a short-lived team that made no sense, that was in the West Coast. So they're flying over from there.
Makes sense. So Black Widow has to kind of like slap him or sting him or whatever. And
Hercules is immediate like, were you a man? We would get in such a fight.
They need to get off the plane faster so they can get to the meeting, which they're late for. So Hercules rips a hole open into the side of the plane so they can just get off faster. And I guess Stark's going to pay the bill later.
And then he goes to the helicopter pilot and is like, "We need a flight to the Avengers Mansion, please." And he's like, well, "We can't."
Yeah, like you don't have Avengers priority anymore. So Hercules lifts the elevator and just chucks it and destroys it. He's like,
the helicopter.
Oh, sorry. Did I say elevator?
Yes.
Yes. Well, a helicopter and an elevator both take you up, so they're practically the same thing.
This is an
Angel's elevator from earlier.
Yes.
This is an 18-page comic. I'm sorry, 17-page comic. This is one of the pages.
This is one page. It's great. I'm on board with it.
It's great. Yeah, I love that Hercules is basically like Thor from mythology, where he's just like a moron. Mm-hmm. Like they made Thor like too like noble and like good, but they're like, yeah, but we still want one guy who's just like an idiot who just goes looking for fights.
He's great. So they show up at the meeting. They're late, and they and they says, "All right, we don't need your damn helicopter. We're gonna get a taxi." So they get there eventually. And everyone's figuring out what to do. Iron Man calls Nick Fury, who won't help him because Guy Ritchie says they're a security risk. Meanwhile, Michael Korvac is watching the Avengers. He's sitting in his like weird little quiet house with his weird darling Karina, who he's got like practically mind controlled or whatever. He's popping cocoa into existence for himself. And he's watching like the Guardians of the Galaxy do all this stuff that we saw them doing, like, in the last few issues, and like saving the young versions of who did they save? What's that guy's name?
Vance Astro.
Vance Astro, yeah.
Okay,
saving young Vance. And he's like, yes, they're all doing exactly as I planned. I'm going to take over, and I'm going to be the one true ruler of the universe or whatever. And he says, okay, my girlfriend, you have to wait now because I'm going to go watch some other people that I can't watch from my mystical television here. I got to go do it in person. And she goes and cries in his bed because she's starting to believe that he is going to be the one true ruler of the universe. So he goes to watch The Watcher, which I thought was funny. And then he goes to watch Odin and Zeus and Mephisto. And he's like, yeah, just check in to see if any of them know I'm here. And they don't. Excellent. But the toughest one, I got to go visit Eternity himself, the big, the big dude who's just like an outline of space. I always like when they use Eternity. Never understand him, but I like him.
It's always funny when Eternity is like in mortal danger. You're like, that's like where it's like saying the universe is in trouble. Then you just see like the universe like sweating. You're like, what does this mean?
I don't understand. But he's like, yeah, I'm just an insignificant dot compared to Eternity. He wouldn't notice me even if I wasn't concealing myself. But now the Avengers meeting is over. Marvel is going to go investigate the center of the Earth or something like that. And Black Widow is like, well, nothing for us to do. We're just going to go get our luggage from the airport. and they're walking to the airport. Some kid on the street is like, "It's Steve Reeves," to Hercules. What was that in reference to?
That's
like nobody mentions it.
Yeah, that's in reference to Steve Reeves did. I only know because of the Mystery Science Theater episodes. He did Hercules movies.
Oh, so wait a minute. That's even more confusing.
They think he's the actor who played Hercules.
What the hell? All right.
So like if you saw Hercules on the street and we were like, oh, it's Kevin Sorbo or The Rock or Taylor Lautner or.
Yeah, I would probably think it was Taylor Lautner if I saw Hercules on the street.
Did Taylor Lautner play Hercules? I feel like he did.
I don't know. I know there was dueling. There was The Rock, and then there was another one right around the same time. Are you sure it wasn't Kit Harington? I feel like he was in a million bad.
I was thinking it might have been Taylor Kitsch. Also, that's my other look at thinking.
Hold on. If I'm walking down the street and then I see somebody like who is just a legit Spider-Man, like swinging across the street, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Spider-Man. That's what I'm gonna think. I'm gonna think that's Spider-Man. I'm not gonna think, oh, that's Andrew Garfield or whoever, right? That'd be the last thing that jumps into my mind. That would be silly. No, why is this kid naming the actor?
This kid is very dumb.
I would think it was Andrew Garfield, exactly. I'd be like, that's who that is.
He's got a film buff parent. There's like, no, this is Tom Holland. He's not. He's an awesome actor and he plays Spider-Man. And then you see Spider-Man like, it's Tom Holland. It's like, no, god damn it.
No, that's not how it works. Spider-Man. So meanwhile, Wanda's sad that the Vision isn't around, and there's an old man who's on a ship to New York, and he's making a wooden carving of the Scarlet Witch. I'm guessing this is like planting a seed for maybe the story that comes after the Korvac Saga.
It is. It is. Okay. They go to Wundagore after the Korvac Saga, believe it or not.
Wonder Man is eating a sandwich in the kitchen. Thor shows up. And Wonder Man is like, hey, man, hey, Thor, you want half of my sandwich? And Thor's like, what the hell? I don't know you. Don't talk to me like that. You're not my friend.
The sandwich isn't even cut in half. He's just biting into a single sandwich. He didn't like diagonally cut it or anything.
Yeah. You're going to tear the sandwich with my hand? Like, be gone, Violet. And Wonder Man's like, we just hung out. Like, we literally were at a diner like last issue talking. And he's like, I don't know you.
But Thor's been having some memory issues. He's been kind of like blinking in and out of existence, but it seems unrelated to this blinking in and out, right? Who knows? Black Panther and Yellow Jacket, meanwhile, they have an idea. Hey, we'll contact the Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll use their technology to see if we can blah, blah, blah. But then they disappear out of existence. Oh, no. And Iron Man and Wasp are like there to see it happen. It's just like, what the hell? And then Hawkeye pops in and is like, hey, Wanda just popped away too. And then Thor runs in and goes, that guy who says his name is Wonder Man also just disappeared. So Iron Man's like, all right, let's contact the Guardians of the Galaxy. They trace the radiation trail or whatever to the location. And they're like, okay, Vance Astro, I need you to teleport me, Wasp, Thor, and Hawkeye all to this spot. So Vance is like, sounds crazy, but okay, I'll do it. And they end up being transported to the spot where all of the missing heroes are, and they meet. There was the dude in the shadow the whole time, the Collector. Nope, not Korvac. The Collector. Benicio del Toro. And it was his plan for them to show up here all along. He only had to kidnap all but 4 of them, and the other 4 just waltzed right in.
The perfect plan.
And that's the cliffhanger there. So yeah, a very fun issue. Again, we had a little bit of Michael Korvac. We're heading into it, but I'm just kind of liking reading these old Avengers comics. I think they're really good.
I'm having a blast.
Hercules. I wish there was more Hercules in these instantly. He better do something cool next time.
Yeah.
The cover of this issue shows him being put into a bubble, which I don't think happened. So.
No.
I'm gotta refer back to the cover here. I don't remember anything about a bubble.
Him and Black Widow are captured.
Yeah, on the cover.
Yeah, that didn't happen at all.
No, they went back to the airport.
We
didn't see it happen.
Maybe it did happen. Maybe they got blinked back and we didn't. Yeah. Nobody could report on it because they were together and they got blinked together. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, that kid was just like, oh, it's just like a movie, and then.
I had nothing to say.
Nope.
But I really, the wizard though, he was just there. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this first panel where it was just like, who is this guy?
Yeah, out of costume, and he's just like, I can't help you. And you're like, well, why are you here?
Why did you show up, man? Oh, jeez. All right, so next time, of course, we are going to continue the Avengers. We're on 174. Not too much left. 174. Just 4 more issues. Boy, the Korvac Saga, for being such a long read, has not had a lot of Korvac Saga in it. But I'm telling you,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
It had better tie into everything that we've read so far, or else, it's okay.
Wouldn't it be amazing if just Korvac just never showed up again? And he's like, I've decided not to do anything.
I'm just biding my time little by little. It's going to take 1,000 issues for me to.
What I love though is the collected edition was like this one issue that we did skip an issue in this run. Like that one doesn't pertain to the Korvac Saga at all, but everything else.
Like, oh yeah. Yeah, that 2-issue Ultron storyline where Korvac was on like 1 page. That's part of the Korvac Saga.
Very important. Very important. And then what's our main read next time? We're reading Spider-Man 2099 next time. We're reading the original series from 1992. We're just going to do the first 6 issues just to see what it's all about. Written by Peter David with art by Rick Leonardi. I think we've definitely talked about Peter David. What have we read of his?
The only thing we've read of him is actually
Future Imperfect.
Hulk Future Imperfect, although we were flitting around it with this X Factor because he's like the X Factor writer.
Oh boy,
he had multiple runs. So.
The future of some of my friends read comics looks good for Peter David.
Yeah,
gonna get a lot of royalties.
Yeah, well, it's also because Oscar Isaac is playing him in the Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
Which Oscar Isaac's doing Moon Knight right now, but the Spider-Verse movie just got postponed to July next year. It's supposed to come out. I know. Spider-Verse Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. So there's 2 Spider-Verse movies, so that's good.
Okay. But yeah, it's always been just like a weird thing that's randomly stuck around in the Marvel universe. That there's just like a Spider-Man from 100 years in the future. Oh, sorry, 1,000 years in the future.
No, 100. 107, I guess, when it came out in 92. And now it's what?
70
something, 75 years away, 77 years away. Yeah.
We're going to catch up. What's going to happen? Are they going to swap places and we're going to get a Spider-Man 1999?
Oh, I really like Miguel O'Hara. He's popped up in a lot of different places. He's a fun character.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man of 2099 is not Peter Parker. It's Miguel O'Hara. So we'll learn more about him and everything that he's doing over there in the future. There's like a whole future universe that I know almost nothing about. But first 6 issues of that and Avengers 174 should be a good time. What else is going on? Did Your Stupid Minds have a new episode?
It does. Right now, when this episode comes out, we've got Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City is out. Our review of the 2021 reboot of the Resident Evil franchise that has so many video game references, but I don't know that anyone that hasn't played the video games would understand anything that happens in them.
Cool.
I knew the movie was doomed when the trailers were the actors literally saying to camera and then showing a clip from the video game and saying like, "See, our movie looks like the video game, right?" And that was the extent of the TV spots. I'm like, this does
what?
Yeah, I'm like, this does not bode well for this movie when you have the actors terrible. Talking to the camera and showing clips from something that's not your movie.
Yeah, they literally have like sets from the Resident Evil 2 remake that I guess Capcom gave them the images and like the maps or whatever, the blueprints of what all of it looked like, and they were able to recreate it. And it's like I said, it's video game references. If you want Jill Valentine to say to a character, "What would be a worse way to die? Killed by a great white shark or eaten by a snake?" And then you'll say to yourself, "Oh, that's like in the game."
That's I'll nudge people and be like, "She could have said a Jill sandwich. That's from the game."
She does say Jill sandwich in the movie. Christ. It's ridiculous.
Cool.
I wish I'd been in a theater when everyone would have been like Avengers, Endgame. Everyone cheering in the crowd. And she says Jill sandwich.
Wow. Vince, how about you? What's going on?
Not much is going on. I guested on an episode of Games My Mom Found a few weeks ago about Shovel Knight. So that was fun. And then that was a game on our YouTube channel. All my friends are right here. I recently covered the 8-bit Sonic the Hedgehog games, or Sonic the Hedgehog 2 rather. And I'm working on my next project, which I don't know what that's going to be yet. But check it out on All My Friends Are Right Here YouTube channel.
Cool. Well, it's been a fun time. Vince, thank you so much. I love you.
Love you too.
Chris, thank you so much. I love you.
Don't say it. Don't even think it.
And listeners, I love you as well. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Vince here. Slight correction. It was actually Kellen Lutz, not Taylor Lautner, in that other Hercules. I got the wrong Twilight actor. Thanks.